Good morning and welcome to No Net Zero Without SMEs. My name is Karen Clements and I'll be your moderator today. I think it's fair to say that bad news on the climate and the energy transition has been difficult to avoid this autumn, whether it's the droughts or the floods, funding problems in renewables, political backpedaling, we've seen it all. But at the same time, if you just scratch the surface, progress on decarbonisation is being made. Coal use in the power sector is down. Fossil fuel use will peak this year and rapidly decrease next year. Solar power installation is rising, as is capacity in solar manufacturing. And we heard yesterday in the Sustainable Enterprise panel that a rising majority of SMEs in some member states are either acting or intending to act to decarbonise their business within the next 5 to 7 years. So what I would say is now is not the time to pause. Now is the time to properly assess what SMEs need in order to make the transition from good intentions to action. Because unlike big businesses, the drivers for SMEs to decarbonise are not as compelling. The cost reductions aren't as great, the grants aren't as big, and they just don't have the same resources to design and implement change. So that brings us to the purpose of this session, which is to discuss what support SMEs need in order to make this transition. SMEs without whom net zero is not a realistic goal. We want to look at what type of support they need, and not just SMEs are a heterogeneous bunch, so we need different types of support for different types of SMEs. Who should deliver it, and where is it best delivered? And we're going to look specifically at EC projects, existing EC projects. So those of you that were in Prague last year at the SME Assembly might remember that we looked at the DG Energy initiative, the Covenant of Companies for Climate and Energy. So we'll look back at that and see what lessons have been learnt, but also look at other initiatives and how they're delivering for SMEs. And to do that, I'm joined by Lucia Cusmano, Senior Economist and Deputy Head of Entrepreneurship, SMEs and Tourism at the OECD, and co-author of the 2021 report that I think coined the phrase "No Net Zero Without SMEs." So welcome, Lucia. And I'm also joined by Sonja Anglo-Reichelt, who's Project Manager and Senior Innovation Expert at Bayern Innovativ and Sustainability Advisor for the Bavarian Enterprise Europe Network Consortium and Deputy for the Sustainability Advisors of the EEN. I'm also joined by Petri Salminen, President of SME United, Chairman of the Federation of Finnish Enterprises and entrepreneur in his own right. And last but not least, by Hilde Rutten, CEO of Berghof Belgium, a forward-thinking distributor of its own brand of kitchen and cooking tools. So welcome to you all. Lucia.
Thank you. Thank you very much also for recalling that in 2021, so only 2 years ago, probably it was still another way of thinking when it was coming to SMEs and sustainability. When we released that report, No Net Zero Without SMEs, we were in the run-up to the COP in Glasgow. So there was a lot of headlines, a lot of movements, activists in the streets. And however, if at that time you were watching TV, looking at the news, all the headlines were on large firms, oil companies, very large emitters. So the public attention for a long while, and I would say still now, has largely been on large firms as the main one that are driving the change or that are not yet there. And I think it's not only a question of public audience. We have seen also in environmental policies that up to recently or even up to now, SMEs have not been center and stage. So when we started this work on No Net Zero Without SMEs, the main point was how can we draw attention to that? How can we put very clear in the policy agenda that the climate objectives are not possible if all SMEs, if the large population of businesses is not on board? And the very first gap that we identified has been a knowledge gap. a gap in terms of evidence, scattered evidence. Here and there, some estimates, but not a very regular monitoring of who is really impacting on climate and what is, for example, the role of SMEs in greenhouse gas emission or in energy consumption. And that was the journey we're still on the no net zero without SMEs and a dashboard of indicators that we started developing since then. And I'm pleased to share with you some estimates that have recently released. It's an ongoing work. We know it's a relatively new area. But we have been trying some methodologies, and I know that other organizations are. But what's the clear message there? For example, if we look at the European Union, we're talking about something like 40% of greenhouse gas emissions in the business sector that are accounted for by small businesses, with some variations across countries that, of course, reflect also their economic structure, the weight of SMEs in their economy and in the most emitting sectors. So we go from 60%, for example, in Slovenia to 25% in Poland, where in some sectors SMEs have a much lower weight. But overall, it's very clear. We're talking about half or 1/3 of emissions that are related with SMEs activity. And we have a similar picture if we look at energy consumption. So here again, it's in the range, let's say, of 40% or even more. With some countries, I think the very first one is Estonia, where energy consumption by SMEs represents 78% of what is consumed of energy by the business sector. So it's a huge share, and here again we have naturally some differences across countries. So this clearly tells us there is no net zero without SMEs. I mean, we cannot foresee achieving objectives without having this very diverse and heterogeneous population of businesses on board. But it's not only a matter of environmental footprint. It's increasingly a matter of competitiveness, of capacity of SMEs to access market, to access skills, to access finance, which is becoming more and more difficult if they do not start their journey to net zero or to lower environmental footprint, and if they are not able to report on this. So it's important the monitoring, acting on the gaps that SMEs may have in this regard, but also being able to show what they are doing with all the increasing reporting requirements. And I think in terms of why also there is a business case, the energy crisis was a case in point. Following Russia's war of aggression on Ukraine and the increase in energy prices, the burden on the SME sector, in this case as measured by the share of SME turnover that is absorbed by energy cost, has basically doubled across Europe. So in some countries achieving values such as 9% or 8% of the turnover that in early 22 had to go to pay for energy cost. Which, again, compared to historical standard, has been very high. So I think the energy crisis has made it very evident that small businesses can be very vulnerable to price shocks or to volatility in energy markets. And we know that this is not the end of it. So there could be a similar situation coming through. So inaction clearly has a cost for small businesses. And as I was mentioning earlier, it has a cost not only for the price of energy, for the energy burden, but also because increasingly taking action and showing it is a requirement in the market. We know that most of the regulation, for example, concerning ESG, still applies to large enterprises. And we often hear about the need to reduce burden on SMEs, where sometimes this goes in the direction of exempting. A policy dialogue discussion we've been having at the OECD have very much centered, on the other hand, on moving from a logic of exempting to a logic of enabling. Even if SMEs are formally exempted from ESG requirements, for example, the implications are already trickling down to them through supply chains, global value chains. More and more large enterprises that need to show that they are complying are inserting criteria for compliance in the contracts to suppliers. The financial markets, this is very evident. The financial institutions that need to clean up their portfolio need to take action, and they are more and more considering the climate implications of their financing and of the investment in their portfolio. We just conducted a survey of more than 70 development banks across the world and private financial institutions that we're going to release at the COP28. But the key finding there, the key message is basically 80% of financial institutions are already requiring SMEs to produce some data that is related to ESG. It can be directly, or it can be through intermediaries. For example, development banks asking the financial institution downstream to report on ESG compliance of their clients. So it's coming there. It's no more a question of being voluntary or not. Of course, it's a question of how this is implemented and ensuring that it does not create undue burden on SMEs, or better, ensuring that SME specificities are taken into account upstream when ESG regulation is designed, when compliance mechanisms are designed. But we cannot think further that the solution is exempting. And another reason why the solution cannot be exempting is because sustainability is becoming increasingly a competitiveness engine. Being able also on the markets to show that the products are green, the services are green, attracting talents more and more, especially in the case of youth, skilled talents that express a preference for companies that align with certain ESG characteristics, let's say, or where sustainability, they recognize sustainability as a main priority for the company. So what type of policy priorities, therefore, we have been discussed in the OECD framework? The first one I just mentioned, ensuring that regulation is fit for purpose, so that SME considerations are fully embedded in the stage of regulatory design and implementation. Access to finance. So we have launched recently a platform on financing SMEs for sustainability with the participation of development banks, knowledge partners. I see here ACM that has joined the platform as others, and where we wish to create a dialogue, a space for dialogue between financial institution, policymaker, business association, SMEs, on how to implement, for example, these reporting requirements and how to address other obstacles to access finance for sustainability. Tailor services and support. I'm sure the colleagues here will say a lot about this. SMEs need awareness, they need specific tools. We see, for example, in the field of energy efficiency, energy management system, access to smart meters, so type of instruments that can be very tailored to their needs, but that can be relatively cost accessible. And then very finally, we need to make the twin transition real. Digital technologies are tools, and they offer very important entries for example, energy efficiency improvement. Again, I mentioned the case of smart meters, but there needs to be more on the ground in supporting SMEs, making a sustainable use of digital technologies, and using digital technologies in a smart way also to achieve environmental objectives. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. Sonia, very lovely to hear from you and more about the energy efficiency actions that the EN is carrying out.
Okay, this was a perfect bridge to my presentation now and to what I can tell you from the Enterprise Europe Network. So So hello everybody, my name is Sonja Anglo-Reichel. Thank you for your introduction already. I'm from Innovative, a company in the southern part of Germany, Bavaria, and we are partner in the Enterprise Europe network of the European Commission. So very short only, Innovative is a society for innovation and knowledge transfer with a strong focus on small and medium-sized enterprises in the region. And that's the point why we fit perfectly as partners to the Enterprise Europe network, as the new Enterprise Europe network as well has a focus on small and medium-sized enterprises across Europe to give them all kind of support they need for their international ambitions. And we're having a broad range on partnering services, on advisory services in all relevant areas like resilience, environment, access to finance. We heard it already that it's very important, and other topics. So if you would like to learn more about this, you're welcome to access me afterwards or check the website. Okay, I want to tell you today about two different main activities that could be of interest for you as SMEs. So first of all, within our Enterprise Europe network, you have been telling already about Ukraine, the aggression by Russia last year, and the exploding energy prices and shortages of gas and oil last year. And this was a huge conflict addressing all of our SME clients across Europe. And so we decided, that was a group of EN experts coming from the areas of renewable energy, energy-intensive industries, sustainability, construction, and access to finance. We formed together and said, okay, we should develop something for our clients to help, our SME clients in this difficult situation. And what we did, first of all, we produced a leaflet. I have both of them in the back. I forgot to bring them on the podium, sorry. But if you would like to have a look afterwards, feel free to contact me. A leaflet together with the German Energy Agency. And in this leaflet are 120, let's say, tips and tricks how SMEs can check their own processes, behavior in the company very quickly. It's like a list, a checklist. And the good thing is the recommendations there can be implemented by the companies on their own. They don't need a lot of investment. They don't need a lot of resources. And it was very helpful for the companies, what I heard already from the clients in Bavaria. So this is available for free for all SMEs across Europe. And the second activity is about the Energy Solutions Catalog. This is a huge catalog comprising 75 profiles from energy SMEs across Europe with intelligent and smart solutions that are on the market already available. Very new solutions, but that you can gain immediately, contact at if you're interested in. And this was important for us. It's all about energy efficiency, energy saving, or implementation of renewable energies. And in order not only to produce paper, let's say, we managed to arrange a pitching session during the European Sustainable Energy Week in Brussels this year in June, I think it was, in the OISEF, where we gave around 20 companies the opportunity to pitch in front their offers they have, their solutions, in front of potential buyers coming from municipalities, cities, energy-intensive industries, or other energy-intensive SMEs. And together with Euro Chambers, among others, so I see Joel Fernandez sitting here, you were participating as well. Thank you very much for contribution. And and this was a very successful session. So many of the pitching companies had got contact already to potential buyers. And we are planning this again, so for next year, for the European Sustainable Energy Week 2024. So if you would be interested to join in, if you have interesting technologies, don't hesitate to contact us. And now I'm coming to the second very important opportunity that you have been mentioning already, Karen. It just started now. It's the so-called Energy Efficiency Action, managed by DG GROW with a total amount of 10 million euros. And this activity had started now in October of this year and will last for 25 months in the whole. And the good thing of this energy efficiency action is that 90% of the whole volume are going directly to SME, to third parties that will give support to our SME clients to become more energy efficient, to invest in necessary investments for the technologies and so on. And each SME can get maximum up to 10,000 euros for the necessary measures. Okay, so if the companies have applied for this energy efficiency action and successfully, here's what these energy grants that they will get can be used for. It's a broad range of, depending on what the company needs, to become more energy efficient, to make the energy transition. They can use it for energy audits, technical consultation, but as well if they need new energy efficient technologies for their production lines or for their facilities, to adapt new technologies, as well to obtain energy certificates if that's of interest for them. And here you mentioned already digitalization is very important, energy management tools, and still companies are in need of getting this energy management and related software as well. For this, these grants can be used, or to start installing renewable energy systems in the companies, or the trainings for SME employees as well. So these are just some ideas what the companies could use the grants for. And okay, then the last slide is what we are expecting DG GROW for this activity, that at least 900 SMEs from Europe will be benefit from this financial support, up to 10,000 euro, as I said already. And what we want to achieve is that at least 5% of the energy consumption in a SME should be lowered by these activities, by this support, and 20% of the grant should go especially to SMEs coming from energy-intensive industries, if they have the most need to react quickly in this difficult situation. You have mentioned already the sustainability advisors of the Enterprise Europe network. They are in every region across Europe, so they can work with you as SMEs in your own language, and support you by writing the proposal for this grant and to support you afterwards with an action plan to follow, to get another things that you need. And the call will start, the first call will come probably in January next year. And the second call will probably follow in November next year. So the dates are not fixed, but that is what is supposed at the moment. Okay, that's it from my point of view. Financial activities are always important. I would like to mention that Rafaela is here from Enterprise Europe Network. She's chair of the Access to Finance group, supporting companies with a lot of activities in this respect. And then I'm finished. Here are just my contact details. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sonia. So that's very impressive. A tailor-made service for individual businesses, not just money, but the support as well.
That's what we are doing in the EN, Enterprise Europe Network. That's more the advisory services, the partnering services that we are offering. Money is coming from DG GROW.
Yeah. Thank you, DG GROW.
Okay.
Petri, your business members have benefited from the covenant. They've benefited from other initiatives. Can you tell us a bit about lessons learned and what type of support has been most effective?
Yeah, thank you. And it's great pleasure to be here and with such an esteemed crowd. And the topic itself for simple entrepreneur as yours truly is a bit difficult to handle, as you Karen mentioned. We are discussing about quite different sort of a crowd to each other. So there's no like one-size-fits-all solutions for making SMEs to go towards net zero. And therefore, I would start by saying that the lessons learned is actually the well-functioning, the role of well-functioning market mechanism that should be above all. Few years ago, I conducted a small study about what should be offered to SMEs and entrepreneurs in order to boost their growth. What would increase their growth aspirations? And the result was that companies, SMEs and entrepreneurs tend to go in four categories. The one is those who have ability and strong will or willingness to grow. Then there are those who have the ability but no willingness. Then there's the third one, the willingness but no ability. And then there's the fourth one, no ability, no willingness. And all these like boxes, these apply also the objectives when we are discussing about journey towards net zero, since those who have ability and willingness to grow, those who have knowledge and willingness to go towards net zero, actually are the ones that we need to bring up, but those are not necessarily the ones that are in the most need of support mechanisms or such. And they are forerunners, they are examples to others, but not necessarily the most problematic group. And this applies also the growth services, because, and why I'm telling this is that public sector actors quite often tend to use all the energy for those who are willingness and are able, when actually we should use the effort to those who are able but not don't have willingness. Those are usually traditional companies, traditional entrepreneurs that have been there for a long time, for years, and they know how to do business. They don't know how their business is running, every bit of it. But it's a huge risk to change and start to renew your business. Because you don't know what will happen, and maybe you have had bad experiences from the past. So that is a group where we should get in the middle of investment cycle. For example, I know we have a family-owned manufacturing company in metal industry. We know that by renewing our machinery within the certain cycle, we get more out of it, more automation, more productivity, and actually less emissions, because they are more energy efficient every time we make the investment. But we only have limited resources to make the investments, so it has to be within the investment cycle. In Finland, we conduct a study to entrepreneurs twice a year, and just a few, the parameter showed that 58% of the companies or entrepreneurs they said that their actions towards renewal of their business is making it by investing in machinery and production techniques, and that's the crowd ability, but might not have the willingness still or the knowledge to take on the net zero actions. Then we have those with willingness but no ability. Usually, for example, startups might, if making a blunt example, might go into that group. They know exactly, they have strong ambitions, but the resources aren't there yet. Even the customers might not be there yet. But again, different sort of support mechanism. And then as well, it might sound funny that no willingness to grow, no willingness or ability to grow, but those aren't actually bad companies and not failures as an entrepreneurs, because they tend to be the kind of companies that are operating locally, making huge impact in their own municipal or service providers, and those companies should also be addressed. But yeah, these are maybe the key takeaways from me, that we should look the measures within all these 4 categories with a bit different eyes. We've done good progress I woke up for the need and critical need of actions 2018, as I think quite many of us. After that, I've been testing entrepreneurs, and they, almost in every speech that I have made, I've said that we need to do actions. We need to make actions as an entrepreneur in order to go towards net zero, because if we don't have business. Our financial institutions, big customers, value chains are requiring us to do things and report it. And I have had no criticism towards those words whatsoever from the entrepreneurs. So entrepreneurs know what needs to be done. Maybe the message that, for example, in Europe we have been sending has been, or it has sounded from entrepreneurs' perspective that we are being told that as an entrepreneurs we have been doing everything wrong in the past. Now we should stop doing what we are doing and listen to wise officials smart officials that are telling what we should be doing as an entrepreneurs. And that's kind of a message that creates an opposition straight away. So we should collect the data from grassroots level, create different support mechanism and advisory to different groups of entrepreneurs in a different stage. We should acknowledge the change in generations of entrepreneurs as well. We will see huge amount of owner transfers within the next years because of the aging popular. So those are challenges, but also opportunities that we have to tackle. Well, maybe I leave it here, but some food for future negotiation discussion next.
Thank you very much, Petri. And I see also that there's a nice list of of measures that your members believe has helped support them in their transition. Hilda, I think you fall into the able and willing category, don't you?
Indeed.
Could you tell us a little bit more about
and hopefully able to as well.
About your journey, why you started, who helped you, and maybe even at the end what you would do differently if you had to do it all over again?
Okay. Yeah, it will be more a practical example. So I would like to share with you how we started. In 2018, already the first questions came out of the market, especially from the Netherlands. We distribute mostly in the Benelux. And also the B2B partners requested our CO2 footprint already. So that's how we came up that we should do something about it. So in 2019 already, we started in a program of the local chambers of commerce and industry. They have a program together with the United Nations where we have a follow-up program of 3 years. So each year we should accomplish 10 goals, which applies to the 17 SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals. And 10 actions should be taken every year. It's not only about decarbonization, it's the whole package, like social governance as well. And with the help then of the local Chamber of Commerce, we started up a program with a file with all different kind of actions, but which are easily to do, of drink water, of giving the employees drinking something to drink to take with them to their home. But more important is that after these 3 years, we received a certificate of completion from the United Nations, and this is very important for our export position. Some examples we made of how we went to decarbonization is that, first of all, in 2021, we made a measurement of our footprint. So scope 1, 2, 3, and there we could see we have a footprint of 40 ton of emissions. When you compare it with a regular household, it's about 8 ton per household CO2 emissions. We started by placing like solar panels, which is a quite big investment, especially for an SME. But at the end, we placed them, then we removed our gas installation of the warehouse just before the energy crisis. So at that point, we already had an advantage by moving towards a sustainable company. We didn't have all this negative influence of the energy crisis. Another important issue for us is to inform our consumers. So, okay, we especially deliver to B2B partners, but also our customers who use our products or end consumers. So we think it's very important to give them the right information and how to help them to minimize their CO2 footprint. So, for example, when you put on the stove, don't put on the boost function. When you put on your cookware, use a cover. Try to use not to eat meat every day, but for example, one day of only vegetables. So we made some movies. We worked together with a chef who is also an ambassador of the United Nations for vegetables. So I think it's very important to not only see the scope to your own country, company, but also see it wider. At this point, we still have some problems, of course, with companies' cars, which it's not that easy to go all the way to electrical cars. So to compensate these CO2 emissions, we plant trees. So there's an organization, Go Forest, where you can decide to plant trees in order to compensate your emissions. So at this stage, as a small SME, we already have our own sustainability strategy online. So and now we experience already from the bigger companies in Belgium as well that they ask for us for this kind of strategy. So now we're making the next step. Now we want to become a champion in SDG for the United Nations. It's again a 3 years of action plan. And now we should indicate that we make our business model more sustainable. What we want to do now is that we want to make our own dashboard of our CO2 emissions, not only from the company itself, but also by of the buying of our goods, the export of our goods, and so on. And that's when came in the Covenant of Companies. We made a pledge for that. And now at this moment, we get some technical help of a Dutch company, DNV, who will build this own dashboard. And that will be the case that we will get involved, our retailers as well, to use this dashboard, and at the end consumer as well. So what I ask, or maybe my points to ask for the European Commission is, why not help for the SMEs to make a framework? It should not that be difficult to make a start. Also an investment plan. When we can see the size of companies, it should be possible to make a kind of framework. Also by sector, you can see a lot of companies. I network a lot with entrepreneurs, and you see a lot of the same questions from different kind of sectors. So the same roadmap would be possible. And as you already said as well, let's learn from the best practices of the best companies. We shouldn't invite the water again. On the other side, we have now a certificate of the United Nations, but for example, in the Netherlands, I see a lot of EcoVadis. I think there's a lot of certificates where a lot of companies earn money from it. So why not try to make a EU certificate, like we work with the EU warranty label? So one label for the whole EU should be very interesting. And reliable as well in that case. I think we should work as well with role models. About 10 years ago, I started as well as a role model for women to start businesses. But also in this case, we need role models so that entrepreneurs see it is also possible for them and not only for the big companies. And what I saw these last days as well, there is a lot of information already there. So we should get the right information to the right persons. So the information get to the entrepreneurs who need it. And it's, I think, not about willing or be able to, but I think it's an obligation for the next generation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Hilda. And now it's over to you. Yes, and thank you to all of you. So now it's time for your questions, and not just for the people in the room, but also the people online. Please, have we got some microphones? If you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand and identify yourself.
Hello. Hello. My name is Ciprian Sănescu. I'm from Romania. I really liked the last point, one of the last points you made with the EU certification. Could we elaborate for 2-3 minutes on that? Like, what do we need to do? Who needs to do what? Is the Commission responsible for this? Is this SME United and some other organizations' responsibility or opportunity? You know, how can we make this happen? And even a timeline. Like, is this a 3-year process, 10-year, etc.? Thank you.
Thank you. Petri, do you want to, from your perspective as president of SME United, how, I mean, it would benefit to have a standard recognition. How would that chime with your members? Is this something that you could?
Well, it smells a bit like increasing reporting requirements, I have to say. But then again, those certificates and as entrepreneurs and SMEs, we do need to be able to showcase what we have been, where we are, and what we've done. That's and that of course have to be streamlined, easy, accessible way to do that. And in that sense, some sort of a framework certificate or something would be an option. What does it need and what's the requirement? First of all, which is the problem with current certificates and measuring your emissions and your current state, is that even the academia isn't unanimous what are the right measures, what should we be measuring at, and what's the right level. And for entrepreneur, it's a bit difficult to try to guess which certificate and which criteria would be the one I should acquire. And if the certificate costs 10,000 euros or 20,000 euros and it has to be audited annually, it's a huge cost to showcase that. And if you choose the wrong certificate, that's money wasted and no movement towards net zero has happened. So maybe I start with this.
Okay, thank you. Sonia?
Yeah. Okay, I fully agree with what you said already on this jungle of certificates, let's say. So that's one point why it makes sense to get into contact with advisors from your region, for example, like from the Enterprise Europe network, because they can help you to identify what's the right label for you, yeah? What are the reliable ones? And there are a lot of branch-specific label certificates existing as well. So I think this would be one of the challenges to make one label that fits all, yeah? So it's often makes more sense. And the problem is the shared certificate should be already there. That's my personal view, yeah, because the companies are already under pressure to report, to certificate and so on. And if you say in 3 to 5 years, it's too late. The companies need it now. That's what we are watching from our SMEs in the region. And they are working with a lot of certificates already, yeah, because they're even from USA, the GRI and the CSRD and the EU Eco-label is existing as well, yeah. EcoVadis you mentioned. There are a lot of proven certificates already in the market that are used from companies by several years. So I'm not sure how successful it would be to develop another one coming in how many years for the whole European Union. I would rather advise you to get into contact with a reliable advisor from your region. I don't know, you're from Romania, it was, right? Yeah, there we have, for example, Enterprise Europe network partners, and they could give you advice or discuss with you what could make sense for your company. Yeah, I don't know the background, the branch, but probably it would be better to first check not all of these certificates are expensive. Yeah, EU Eco-label, for example, is free of cost. EcoVadis costs something. You have to repeat it every year, I know, but there are quite different options for you. Hopefully there's something already there, and so then that you don't have to wait for many years for something that maybe never comes. I don't know what your feeling is about this, Petri. Okay. Okay.
Thank you, Sonia. Yes, I suppose the challenge is that support is often best delivered at the local level.
Yeah.
And that's so imposing an EU-wide framework that doesn't recognise the detail of the local level is potentially problematic for SMEs. Okay, thank you. Do we have any more questions? Yes, please, in the back.
Thank you. My name is Johan Barros. I'm from Accountancy Europe. I have a question to the panel. It's a bit maybe linked to the certificates. So what we have been calling for example, is for the European Commission to set up a free-to-use carbon footprint calculator for SMEs, available in all EU languages, and yeah, as I said, free for SMEs. And then when you basically calculate your carbon footprint using this tool, then you get the kind of performance measure, and then this has to be accepted by the banks, by the big companies, by the regulators and policymakers in all of Europe as the kind of like official valid, carbon footprint for your SME. So I just want to get the panel's views on that, whether they would find something like this helpful. Thanks.
Hilda, would you have found that helpful when you were starting out?
Yes, because we're working on that as well. But what I found out now, it's not that easy because all kind of different goods, way of production, so on. But I think there should be more or less a way of how you get there. So which kind things you have to bring into this form. I think that would be a big help as well. Yeah.
Petri? Sorry.
Well, I can only echo what Hilde said. I fully agree.
Okay, Sonia.
There are already free of cost carbon calculators available in the network. I would have to make a search, but I know that they are existing. It's similar to about the certificates. There are a lot of carbon calculator tools existing in the meantime. Yeah, a lot of companies that are offering this kind of, and I agree with you, it's very complicated. Would you like to have a product carbon footprint? Would you like to have a company carbon footprint? So it depends a little bit on what kind of footprint you want to evaluate. And here again, probably it would make more sense to identify what could be a good tool for you at the moment. It's already available and not so expensive. But many of our SMEs say, okay, we do not have the resources to develop one on our own as you are doing it. I know other SMEs as well who develop their own tools, but most of them go to a certified, acknowledged as offerer for such carbon footprints, because it's really a lot of work behind to develop and to use it, to implement it in the end. Yeah.
That's a bit the problem. problem as well, because there are, as you say, there are so many different.
Yeah, exactly.
How does an SME know which one to use?
Exactly. Yeah, that's the. Yeah.
This is the one that you use.
Yeah, that's. I understood. Yeah, that's the problem for us as EAN advisors. For example, we are not allowed. We have to be neutral. Yeah, and we are not allowed to tell you take this one. So that's forbidden. But we could discuss with you. We could go through a list of offers that are available in your region, for example, in your language, and then you could discuss what fits best to you. Yeah, what is your interest, and to help you to get the first step, to give you a list of reliable organizations, and that's what we could do. Yeah.
Just maybe complementing on the second part of the question, which was the possibility to get these automatically, or better, to have it recognized and being able to use it automatically in different processes. I think we are not very close to that. I mentioned earlier the case, for example, of reporting requirements by financial institutions, and we are quite far at the moment from some type of harmonization, although I think this would be beneficial to all. When we ask about the data requirements by financial institutions, we have a range from 2 pages to 20. Which has an impact also on competition, also in the financial sector. It's an additional barrier, etc. So certainly this is something that in the future would be desirable, to have more of automatic recognition, or I think it was mentioned several times these days, the once-only principle. Can we apply a sort of once-only principles also when it comes to environmental certification, etc.? But I think we are still not there. It's some way to go.
If I could just add that many SMEs are going to have to comply with the regulations within the next couple of years, and so we need to scale support quite quickly, particularly. Well, rather, I'd ask you, what do you think where do you think we need to do to make that leap? Is it in the funding? Is it in the finance? Do we want to set up a new financial institution, as was suggested yesterday by Kirsten Dunlop, a European Development Bank for SMEs? Do we want to look at the high street? What's happening there? What do you, in terms of is there a green transition fund for every single SME? What do you think would be most impactful?
I think there are 2 areas where clearly there is a leap to be made. One is the finance, and we see that development banks, for instance, in different countries, also outside Europe, have been quite active. Beyond what they can do themselves in terms of funding, which is often then through financial intermediaries, is inevitably a leading role in giving a signal also to the commercial, for example, sector, about standards, about a strong public commitment to invest in certain areas. But I think that the other important area we haven't mentioned yet possibly is skills. There was the report yesterday from the Eurobarometer where skills and regulation came up as the main constraints. I think it was a bit more general, but the same applies to skills. And in fact, I would be interested also to understand, to get from you a sense of how your employees also followed your transition path. It's a question of technical skills, it's a question of adaptability, management skills. So there is a need of a vision, but also to have then investment in skills, and we know that aspect of green skills is often very incipient in the businesses, but also in the supporting institutions, because we still don't have even clarity, let's say, in the research side on the definition of green skills. There are various ones, etc. And it's probably also an area that is evolving very rapidly. So what type of skills will be needed in 5 years for the green transition? This should be the sort of questions as well for policymakers where we need to make a leap.
Absolutely. Sorry, I'll go to the audience again. Another question, please.
Hello, I'm Matthew from the Nivis company. I'm a representative of a medium-sized company, and I do not understand the sentence that we should select the proper calculator. What do you mean with the proper calculator? So should I put the data to several of them and select the lowest emission? And this is it, what I expect. Yeah. So here, or this can make the wrong data, a lot of fake data, because some companies may reduce the emission, changing the methodology. So, in my opinion, as an engineer, it is not precise. And if it's not precise, so there is multiple different ways how to calculate it, how to present data, and the data science is a huge science, and we can same data present in different way. So how do you want to unify this?
Interesting approach, by the way, to use different ones and then take out the best results. I did not have it in my mind, but perhaps I take it over.
Like business works.
No, it was more meant on it's depending on the kind. What would you like to measure? Yeah, some companies only come to say, okay, we would like to measure a certain product carbon footprint if they're manufacturers. Other want to have services, what they are doing, what they are offering, what is about here the carbon, and others want to have a carbon footprint for the whole company, including all supply chains, etc. These are different approaches, and that's what I meant with what you have to choose the right one that you need for your company or what you will be interested in. Not that you should different ones and calculate with different ones. No. No. Hope that makes it clearer. So, there is some work to do. I think it could not be taken away from SMEs. I know we have this discussion even with other ones, and this comes a little bit to what you said with the transition within the company and the openness. It's important that in the company, first of all, the management is behind the transition that is necessary. It's very important, but as well the staff members, the employees, they all have to be taken on board, let's say, for such a transition process. And what we always recommend is we have sustainability assessments where we discuss this strategies within a company, and we always tell them it's important to have either a team from the company, from different parts of the company, a sustainability management team, let's say, that is responsible for all sustainability activities, and this team could be responsible as well to get the job, select a good carbon footprint tool that we could use for our company, or that you have, if the company is very small, that you have one sustainability manager that is taking care of all the sustainability activities in your company. I think this is, from our experience, very important that not only the management, but as well the employees are behind such a change, and try to form a team of staff members, and from our experience, especially the young people, I don't know what your experience is, but especially for the young people, it's so important that the SMEs they are applying for, that they are doing something on sustainability.
That's why you make it very visible. For example, around our building we have some wildflowers. We have a bee cologne, so we make our own honey. So that's more visible for them. And when you do actions like that, the way towards the other bigger things are shorter.
Biodiversity. Biodiversity, that's one of the 17 SDGs, what we are discussing as well. Do something like this. Perfect, wonderful. She's really a good one.
May I just say, excellent question, and there's a magic word to that. Better regulation, exactly, if we are demanding something, it should be clear enough what to calculate and what measures to use. In that sense, your question was excellent.
Thank you, and I'm afraid we're right out of time, so I'd like to thank my panelists for an excellent session. everyone go out and get some bees and make some honey, and we'll all be happier and healthier. And I'd also like to make a shameless plug for the Covenant. If you are a small and medium-sized enterprise and you'd like some support in in decarbonising your business, then do look at the website, because we'll be able to help you along the way, as indeed will the EEN. So thank you all so much for coming, and have a lovely rest of the day. Thank you.